When working on a personal project that I know will take me a long time to finish, I find that in order to stay productive, I have to work somewhat organized. This video is sponsored by Milanote. In my case, this personal project is an animated short film. I'm trying to work as creatively free as I can. I want to make sure that I'm enjoying the full process of making this film. After all, it's a passion project. I'm working fully alone on it, no one to report to, except for maybe you guys every now and then through these videos. But unlike many commercial projects that I've worked on, this one does not require me to actually finish it at any certain date. And I'm also free to choose whatever happens in it. I started the full process by writing a script, which gives me the full story in a text format. At that point, the only visual imagery that existed was all inside my head, as ideas for different shots that were all linked to what I had written. I've spoken about my pre-production process in a previous video, which I will link below. There I talked about that I don't start out by creating a full storyboard of the full film, due to the fact that I don't want to lock my visuals so early on in a project that I know I will spend a massive amount of time on. If I were to do so, I'm afraid that I take away a big part of the creative task of figuring out what each shot will look like during production. What I like to do though, now that I'm in production, is to actually work with a more interactive storyboard. One where I can plan out the shots that I'm currently working on and the ones that surrounds it. As shots are getting established and created, I can both add them to a general timeline in my editing software, but also to this ever-changing storyboard layout. And this is where Milanote comes in. Milanote is a platform that lets me keep my full project plan in one interactive place. Here I can create and edit my storyboard in an easy way, as well as keep any other useful assets close at hand, like image references or character designs. This is the overview of my project. In each of these subcategories, we can find what I just mentioned. You can easily create a new storyboard here, for example, by making a new board over here. And Milanote gives you the option to either start with a blank board or choose from one of many templates, which definitely can be useful here. These templates can then be completely restructured if you just want certain elements from them, but it's nice to have this option. I'm gonna pick the storyboard template to start with. These boxes that are now created lets me drop in images into them, and I have a few prepared that you might have seen me create in previous videos. So I will create a little demo of a specific sequence from my film here. Let's start with this shot of a car driving by the camera. You can just drag these in from your file manager. Then we have this wide establishing shot of my characters unloading their car. Obviously these are almost finished shots, but I tend to mix these with work in progress ones and some that are just rough first sketches. Let's import a few more. This one of my two characters walking up a forest path with their boulder crash pads. Them passing by some alpine winter rescue huts. This wide drone shot flying in and giving us a good view of the valley that they are entering. This one of their faces in profile. And then a mid shot from behind them showing the boulder that they have just arrived at. Now this is a sequence in the film I've worked quite a lot on already, and there are other parts which I have barely touched yet. I've done a few amends to the original script as I've been making these, but mainly adding things to add more depth rather than completely reworking it. Let's not name these shots by numbers, but rather by title that represents them. If I want to shuffle things around or add shots in between here, I think naming them by numbers will be a little bit messy. I think we can insert a shot between these two here. I want a close-up of my character's feet coming to a stop before we cut to their faces. That will clearly indicate that they have reached their destination. This is sort of how I've been working lately. I flesh out certain segments of the film to quite an extensive amount, and then I leave some untouched. It might not be the way for everyone, but it leaves me curious and excited to tackle other parts of the film once I get there. As I wrote a script to begin with, I know how the film will end and so on, and I know the general story, but I'm fully open to changing things during production if it makes for a better end product. For this missing shot of their feet, I am animating a mockup in 3D to start with, using my three-dimensional versions of my characters which I've created. We now have their feet walk into the shot and finally stop. I'll make my character put down his boulder crash pad too, as in the next shot he actually has it in front of him. As I said earlier, I have a timeline in my editing software that I keep updating with shots as I work on them, and there I can make sure it's running well together and edits okay. But for a visual overview, I think it's nice to see it in a storyboard format too, to quickly know what is missing and refresh my mind on what shots I'm working on. If I have an idea for a shot that needs creating, I can make a quick sketch in Photoshop, for example, or a quick mock-up in Cinema 4D and throw that in here, just like I did with this in-between shot here. But these boards in Milanote can be used for more than just storyboards, of course. If your project requires it, you might want to make a character overview where you explore the persona and development of your main characters, or maybe you need a place to collect a bunch of visual references, for example. It's definitely nice to have this all in one place. Now you've got a slight glimpse into my current workflow. I'm sure some of you might think this is a bit too chaotic, and if you've worked in bigger productions, then you might notice that it's a kind of a different way of going about it. When working on a project together with other people, it requires a different approach, as you need to communicate the vision in a different way and making sure that people are on the same page. I shouldn't have to worry too much about that, as I assume I am on the same page as myself. Or at least I certainly hope so. Let me know in the comments if you are working on any personal projects yourself and what type of workflow you like to work with. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out Milanote in the description below if you want to make your own storyboard or project plan. Thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Also, thanks to my Patreon for their continued support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here and check out the Patreon page if you want to see more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.